Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. We're going to talk about Cardano. And Hoskinson and Cardano want Cardano to establish itself as a global financial operating system. Now, that is very lofty. It's pie in the sky. Obviously, it's not going to happen right away or anytime soon, but they're trying to build towards it. Cardano does have the scaling to do it, but like I said, XRP is trying to do this been trying to do this for a long time, and they're not even really close. So Cardano's got a pretty high hill to climb if it wants to do this. Obviously, it needs to have Goguen first before it can actually do anything. According to Charles Hoskinson, Cardano will serve as a global financial operating system. Very, very optimistic from him. To enable the population to maintain value, identity, and governance in a single framework. They are doing some tests in Africa, but being like in Kenya and other African countries is a far cry from being a global financial system. Smaller to medium-sized countries will have an interest in implementing the blockchain in order to be treated fairly in world trade. I think like Africa is a very, very good target to start, but getting like the more developed countries to actually implement it will be extremely hard. And I don't think they'll really be all that interested because they'll have their own CBDC system. But even if you get like some of the developing world, it's a big win for Cardano. In the Slot Leader podcast, Charles Hoskinson talked about the reasons why the world needs a new financial operating system and why governments and corporations should build on open blockchain platforms like Cardano. Not really sure if that's going to convince government and corporations. As the inventor of Cardano explained, mankind has reached a point where more and more people understand that the current financial system is bad. People who aren't rich sort of understand it's bad. A lot of people just actually don't mind it all that much. In particular, the world reserve currency system is doomed to failure. Where have I heard that before? According to Hoskinson, there are two options. Either there will be a one world currency, not happening, or private currencies will compete with national currencies. Ultimately, the current status is a challenge to develop the financial operating system of the future. We're going to either have a one world currency or we're going to have private monies that compete with national currencies, but it makes no sense for one country to be the world reserve currency. You know, our giant-ass military would have something to say about that. And then you think about the finance in general, and you say, the way we are doing banking, we're doing credits, the way we do credit scores, all this stuff is really bad. I think, like, that stuff actually is a natural evolution of stuff. Like, if you're actually going to run on credit, which we have for many, many years, you're going to have credit scores, because companies and merchants will want to know like if people are trustworthy, that they can actually pay off their credit card and stuff. We need to improve it and turn it into a kind of Darwinian marketplace where you have thousands of competing ideas. Yeah, I think like he's just being overly idealistic. They fight each other and eventually the survival of the fittest, those one will come to the top and we can build the world's financial system. I think this is very, very optimistic and very, very idealistic. And I really don't think this is the way like the world actually works. Cardano is designed as a global financial operating system. According to the CEO of IOHK, it is a collection of protocols, software, and hardware that enables the population to represent value, identity, and governance in a single framework. It is designed to give an identity to those who have no economic identity. Like I said, I think this will be much more successful in developing countries than developed countries. It will also be able to issue stocks, bonds, commodities, currencies, utility tokens, as well as perform KYC and AML and build reputation matrices. Ultimately, enables real control over who pays and who controls. It is an identity that no government can take away from you. Specifically, Hoskinson described the vision for Cardano as follows. The general idea is that the system should be an end-to-end stack for economic identity. So what that means is if some person in Senegal or some person in Rwanda or wherever enters the system, they should be able to have the same place to place their data, their identity, to build a reputation. So it actually does enable those in poorer countries. And I think that's mainly what it's going to be. Not so much like reinventing the whole entire global system, but financial inclusion for the smaller countries. They should have some way to get credit. They should have some way to interface with a currency that is reasonably stable, that they can send to anyone in the world. They should have the ability to interface with exchanges, have a business. They should have the ability to securitize that business. So they have banking services, insurance services, credit services, remittance services, but it also includes a governance stack, for example, when they want to do shareholder votes with a governance layer. They can reuse the Voltaire system. It's a one-stop shop. As Hoskinson explained, Cardano as a system can be very interesting, especially for small and medium-sized countries in order to be treated fairly in the global economy. Contrary to the assumption that transnational organizations such as World Bank, the World Trade Organization, the IMF ensure fairness, they are also only controlled by large countries. Smaller countries therefore have a sovereign problem which Cardano can solve as a blockchain. So I think targeting like the smaller countries in Africa, South America, etc. is going to be like isn't exactly rewriting the world financial system, but it's a very, very good market for Cardano. So that's kind of like what I think. I think like he's thinking too broad. I think the focus really should be lasered in on those like countries that aren't being included in the system instead of trying to get like the major countries to actually adopt the system, which is kind of like what establishing a global financial operating system kind of sounds like. So I think it's more like not really a global financial operating system, but one that will actually kind of like bank sort of like the unbanked. So not quite like as broad as like they're terming it to be, but still a very good project. And I do believe that can actually benefit Cardano. But I really wouldn't go like overboard with what the overall ambitions, because I think they're a little bit more limited than what Charles is actually like explaining here. And like I said, though, XRP, they've been trying to do the same thing. This whole like one world thing, working with banks, whether you're working with banks to try to like bring in like a new way to do things, or trying to do financial inclusion, this is going to take a very long time. So I wouldn't really expect anything very soon from this. So that is my opinion. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.